we have some filler time. So two of my oldest, one friend and one cousin, which your cousins back in the day are your, or like your sisters.
Siblings.
Yeah, just we're like super family, you know. Because that's what I was just talking to Moochie about how back in the day, the town we grew up in was more segregated, but it was the good part of it was everybody was together all the time. Mm-hmm. And before all of the crack and all of the crazy stuff happened, and then the way you couldn't hang out without being in trouble. Everybody was together all the time, doing everything all together. So it was a lot more innocence back in that day. So with that being said, I just wanted to take a couple moments because we have some filler time before our next interview candidate comes in. So I have Bugsy Calhoun, Sherman Collins, and his wife Antoinette Johnson Collins on the set. So I just wanted to take a couple moments to ask you guys a couple questions. So,
alrighty,
could somebody sum up for me the circumstances regarding where y'all moved from just knowing each other to becoming in a relationship?
So everyone used to meet at my cousin Richard's house, Barbara and Richard Chin's house, and at the time, it was 1985. I had a so-called boyfriend. I guess he was my first boyfriend. But this gentleman here would always be at their house, and he would always do stuff to kind of pick. And I'm like, this dude, man, he gets on my nerves. I don't want to have nothing to do with him.
How old were you and how old was he?
15.
You were 15?
Mm-hmm. 15, and he was 15. He's 14, 15. Yeah.
Okay, so he didn't have enough. He didn't have enough game to know how to talk to you.
His game was let me do stuff to pick with her.
Is that how you remember it?
No, that ain't how.
So talk to me about how what's your recollection there?
I think it was more close to what you just said. I ain't have enough game. But nah, I really had what you call a big crush on her, and I really didn't know how to go about telling her.
Well, that's kind of what she's saying.
Yeah. Well, I had you tell her.
Huh?
I had you tell her.
Oh, did you?
You don't remember?
I don't remember.
Because at the time
you don't remember? Pootie, you don't remember?
I'll tell you exactly what you said. You said, man, my friend like you, man. Just go ahead and talk to my friend. I was like, man, he gets on my nerves. I don't have nothing to do with him. And then I know we started going to, this is when I was.
How you can't remember that?
When I was able to go to parties with y'all. Y'all started DJing. Mm-hmm. And so because it was Richard taking everybody, I could convince Mom to let me go with Sherm. Mm-hmm. And so he was part of like the breaking crew. And so we all would end up together. And then over time, he was always really a nice guy, but he just would do stuff that would irritate everybody.
Well, it was a bit
he
was a bit hyperactive.
Yeah, like a comedian, but some of the stuff was like, you'd be like, man, that's enough. And he still keep going. But that's how it got together. Nothing has changed. He still does the same thing to me.
So, Bug, what happened? How did you break through though? How did you get her to start liking?
How did I get her to start liking?
Yeah. When do you remember when it kind of changed?
I think it just changed after she knew that I had a crush on her, and then I had wrote her a couple of letters. And I'm telling you, I was way out there, man.
Man,
that's a throwback.
I wrote this.
He wrote this letter. It said, "We're going to be married. We're going to have." This is just how crazy it is. Yeah. That's why I always say our relationship, it was ordained by God, because this is the exact letter. He said, we're going to be married. We're going to have 2 kids. We're going to have a boy and a girl, and we're going to have a nice house, and we're going to always be together. I'm always going to take care of you. That's exactly what the letter said. Mm-hmm. And this was like it was Valentine's Day, like the year after we really started hanging out together.
We still kids.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm like, okay, 2 kids. I said, I don't want no kids.
Right.
Yep.
But that's exactly what the letter said.
So how long were y'all together before you were married?
We've been together since 1985, and we got married in 1993.
So as far as the transition point, well, when you decide, I assumed it was traditional. You got down on one knee and proposed, or y'all talked about it, y'all came to agreement, and say, look, we're gonna get married. How did it actually happen?
We had already had my son by.
Okay.
Yeah, Travis was already born, and you guys were staying with Paulette.
Mm-hmm.
They were staying with Paulette, and I was doing what I had to do to take care of her and Travis while they were staying there. So actually, I brought some groceries to the house, but in the grocery bag, I had the ring in the case down in the grocery. So when she I guess you
Always the comic. I said somebody didn't lost their ring in this bag. I said, where did you get these groceries from? Somebody's ring is in this bag. Oh, it's yours. I wanted to know if you want to get married. That was it. That was it.
I definitely never heard this story.
That was it.
So Bug, at what point was it? See, because I remember the first time I fell in love. Right, I realized it was a moment, it was an inflection point where it just clicked for me, and I'm like, nah, man, I can't just do this anymore. I got to do this. When did you realize that you were like really in love?
Yeah, I knew then. I knew when I wrote that letter.
And again, when was the letter again?
We were still in high school.
Really?
86.
Absolutely.
Man.
It was 86.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
It was 86. And like I said, even with all, like, just to be 100, I had a child in 88 when I was 18. Yes, when I was 18. He also had another female that was having a baby that's 6 months apart.
Right.
And so in my mind, I'm done. This is done.
Mm-hmm.
But throughout the whole thing, it was always still a constant communication. He always was going to make sure I was okay and Travis was okay, but I was done. And the whole time that this was going on, it pushed him into like almost like a spiral, like, this is really messing me up because you want this to be over. And I know I messed up, but I don't want this to be over.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, when he wrote the letter to me, I already was kind of like shrugging it off. But in my mind, I'm thinking, man, I'm getting ready to have we can have a family. Because it's to me, I was looking at again across the street at the family across the street, seeing that they was having dinner at a table. They had a father and mother, and even in my own household, my mom and dad. To me, right. Some people that's not normal. To me, a husband and a wife doing certain things for a husband, right. The husband doing things, that was normal to me. So I knew there was a goal that I was trying to get to.
One thing I'll say about this instance, right, and which is what you explain, Antoinette, is what makes it perfect. Because the imperfections is what makes it perfect, right? I didn't realize till that day we went to the hospital, my father passed away. And I remember that day, I'm serious, man. I don't know if I ever told you this, but that day made me realize all the imperfect things about my father is what made the situation perfect. Mm-hmm. So you think it's going to be perfect. You think it's going to be like the book.
Exactly.
But what y'all living right now, and in the totality of your life, y'all a successful couple.
Mm-hmm.
And it ain't got nothing to do with money or any of that kind of thing, man. Y'all are connected spiritually and physically.
That's what it is.
And that's what makes it all. That's what makes it all worthwhile.
And like he said, that's why. And I've never been one to really hang out, but once him and I took a break from each other, I started hanging out. Mm-hmm. And so my girlfriend was like, "Oh, she hanging out." And during that time, he was off getting himself together. Mm-hmm. So he came back, and like he said, they were, man, don't fool with him, don't fool with him. And in my mind, I'm thinking, I won't fool with him. But the whole time in my head, I'm hearing God say, it's gonna be okay. And I'm also hearing Richard Chin say, "Man, you gotta take him back. He a good dude. You got just give him a
And
chance. He know he
he
messed
told you
up.
just like that?
Yeah, he said he know he came out to my house and said, man, you know that's a good dude. That dude messed up. Don't give that dude a chance, man. And he just would Richard every time he would see me, he would say, man, give that man a chance. And so he came back around. But to me, this was my opportunity to hang out. So I would leave Travis with him. I'm going hanging out. He never said, no, I don't want you to go out. I'm not watching Travis. Every Sunday we would go to the club in Charlottesville. He would watch Travis every Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
This went on for about a month. Then he invited me to church. I said, no, I won't go to church. I'm going to the club. And then the next Sunday he kept on inviting me, so he was persistent. I went to church. Then next Sunday I said, y'all go ahead to the club. I ain't going. And that's just how it happened. And I would get a lot of flack from friends because they didn't understand the relationship. All they saw was what he had did this, he had did that.
Mm-hmm.
They never understood how I could forgive him for one having a child that's 6 months apart.
No, I don't either.
And
I do, but
and
yeah.
you know, I took his child in just like she was my own.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, it was nothing with me. It was
God.
ordained by God that we had to be together come hell or high water. So you gonna figure it out one way or the other. And so that's where it ended.
So, Bug, spiritually, was there a real deep thought process going into that period where you would stay home and watch your son while she was kind of out figuring things out herself?
Right.
Did something click for you? And do you remember what that thought process was like when saying, you know what, let me get disciplined and try to devote myself to my would-be family?
Just is kind of going a little off track, but anyway, it started with my father,
Mm-hmm.
my real father.
Yeah.
He would come. He would go. We were living up on the hill at the time,
Mm-hmm.
so he would come up there. He would purposely take us upstairs in our bedroom, and we would study the Bible. He would study the
Okay.
Bible and read with us.
You're looking for a lady, then you're gonna have to treat her like a lady.
Right. Right.
So now he's got a well, Dad, what do you do? I said, son, just like I told you, you have to treat her like she is special. If you want her, son, you gotta act like you want her
Right.
and nobody else. You can't stop that. You got to continue to do that because now you got to prove yourself to her. The man's job is not to satisfy himself, but to satisfy his spouse. Your job is to do what God tells you to do. Then after that, it's on him to do the rest of it.
Correct.
That was the real uh, introduction of God in my life when he began to do that and start to break things down for us. You know what I'm saying, so that I could understand a little bit. Okay, I was at a place then, you know. So when I started to go downhill, and I felt like I was losing my well, not my wife at the time, my girlfriend and my son. Uh, the, the only way I knew how to get him back, was through him.
Right.
So that's who
I don't think that's off track at all. I think that is
that's
that is
how I knew what to do.
right.
You know what I'm saying? So and that's the road I took. I asked him to do something for me that I knew I couldn't do myself.
Right.
I from what I did, it ain't many women that would go back
Right.
to a man from there.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I'm saying?
So Antoinette, what did?
And
Sorry.
really, what I did, man, it was just from being young, and that's what I was seeing everybody else was doing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? It ain't nothing that it just was. It was just part of that time, I think, man.
Yeah.
And I didn't really hear. the only role model that I really had at that time as a man that was really doing the right thing at that time was my dad.
Yeah.
You know
So,
what I'm saying?
Antoinette, could you see the change occurring? Did you see a change
Yeah.
gradually
Yeah.
happen, or was it
Yeah.
kind of dramatic?
Yeah. At the time, like I said, I thought it was all lip service.
Right.
So the fact that he wasn't saying, no, I'm not watching Travis, that was number one.
Mm-hmm.
And then he would always still make sure I was okay. So I kind of was like, something different here. Because Bug has always been a very affectionate,
Mm-hmm.
make sure you okay, always on you type person.
Right.
So that third time he asked me, it was all like something picked at my heart to say, just go to church. They can pick you up after church. But how I saw how happy he was that we were all sitting together there at church, and I was like, something going on.
Yeah.
Something going on here.
Well, I'm gonna come back and we're gonna like have a whole full length version of this conversation. I know y'all done this before, but I'm ad hoc in this whole thing and I'm freestyling this whole thing. But I'm concerned about making sure that we tell these types of stories because I'm sick of hearing stories about things that don't work, things that have unhappy endings. Because I know I was just talking to somebody the other day. No matter my buddy Marlon, I say, man, no matter how long you stay with somebody, you could stay married 50, 60, 70 years. We just interviewed Irene Fry yesterday. He said, I think they've been married 60 years.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. There's going to be ups and downs in your relationship.
And that's what we were just talking about because, we don't have kids. It's always been me
Why
and
you
Bug.
whispering? You on the
Oh,
camera.
it's always been me and Bug, the kids. The kids is gone, then the grandkids came in. So it's never been just like, okay, you do your thing and you find your hobby and do your thing. So I'm okay with having separation. My husband, sometimes it's hard. So you have to relearn things.
He's a mama's boy like most of us men from our generation.
Yeah, it's so you have to. Yeah, it's ups and downs. But the thing is, on those down times, you got to remember the up times, so you don't stay down in those down times.
That's right. My buddy says his father's a PhD, theological PhD type. He does marriage counseling and all that. And he says you got to remember not to stay too high up, not too far down. He said because you could have good fortune, everything going perfect. Something's coming.
Yeah.
But it's about how you respond to those situations and those circumstances, man. So I appreciate it. We're going to do this again. I thank you for it. Now, you see how easy that was, man? He's scared to get on the camera, man.
He needed
But,
food with it.
yeah, that's what it is. But we'll talk more about it.
All righty.
Appreciate y'all.
All right.